IndyCar driver James Hinchcliffe will tell you he's a NASA fan. In fact, he was in this very room just over a month ago learning about what we do here in the Payload Operations Integration Center. That's just before his race in Alabama. Well, as you may know, last week Hinch suffered some serious injuries when his car crashed during a practice lap at Indy. Well, we're happy to say that he is on the mend, and we wanted to show our support by showing you an interview that we taped with him while he was here to find out what inspired him, and if given the chance, would he like to go to space and live? I'm here with James Hinchcliffe, or Hinch as the IndyCar world knows him. Hinch, thanks for stopping by at the Payload Operations Integration Center today in Huntsville. Tell us about your interest in space. I mean, you're a fancy race car driver. Why space?
Because it's the only thing that's cooler than being a race car driver. No, I've had a love of space and space exploration and travel since I was a little kid. I went to space camp and went to Space Academy, and really got into it when I was younger. The whole astronaut thing didn't really pan out for me. Landed in motorsports, obviously, and it's cool. I mean, there are a lot of correlations for sure, but I've got such an admiration and appreciation for what everybody here does, and all the programs that are going on, around the world to get humans into space, and everything that we're learning and technology we're developing and all the rest of it. It's incredibly fascinating to me.
And that IndyCar thing is working out pretty well for you anyway, right?
So far, so good. But if it doesn't, I might end up here begging for a job. We'll work for food.
We'll take you. I mean, you obviously are conditioned. Do you understand what goes through the conditioning the astronauts go through to get to space?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Johnson Space Center last year, I got a very in-depth tour, and it was incredible to learn, how long out the training really does start for a mission, and the whole selection process, and all the development through each stage. And I mean, I can only imagine what the build-up to a launch must really be like. I mean, I know what the build-up to the Indy 500's like. It's, I think, actually small in comparison to what these guys and girls have to, put themselves through, and then also mentally prepare for. And again, like I said, it's something I've just got such an admiration for.
Is it the need for speed?
I don't know. I mean, we were joking earlier. They go considerably faster than we do in the IndyCar series, but you don't really feel it. So I guess it's kind of even. But no, I mean, maybe it's appreciation of high horsepower. A lot of thrust, obviously, but it's for the amount of similarities there's obviously a lot of differences as well. And to get to kind of be on hand here and kind of witness some of those up close is great.
Yeah, what about the correlation between, as this is the pit crew for the astronauts, you got some positions here you could use on your team?
I think so. The safety one is one I was actually particularly fond of. Right, yeah, obviously a big part of what we do as well. But no, I mean, it's funny because, not dissimilar to racing, and we as drivers get a lot of the attention, whether it's positive or negative. And I think in a lot of cases, astronauts are sort of in the same position. They're sort of in the spotlight, but it really is an entire group of people. And, for us, whether it's the 30, 40, 50 employees on my race team, I mean, here it's thousands of people that are responsible for, building the pieces, designing the pieces, physically getting them up there, looking after them once they're up there. I mean, this is the epitome of a team exercise right here. And yeah, I mean, to see it all functioning here, it just looks like a bigger version of a race shop in a way.
Yeah, and let's go back a little bit and talk about the inspiration. As a young kid, you wanted to be an astronaut. Are we inspiring the kids this day and time?
I sure hope so. I mean, I obviously wasn't around in the moon landing days, but I was still really taken with space exploration and learning about, how we went from the Saturn V to a reusable shuttle and all that. And now obviously the space station is a very cool thing that I think a lot of people know about. And maybe growing up in Canada helped because we did play a little part in that whole thing as well. And now obviously talking about going to Mars and beyond. I mean, that to me is, I don't know how you couldn't get excited about that. So hopefully, again, especially through things like the space camp, because I know that was a big influence on me for sure, is getting kids really interested and really involved in what all is going on here.
Let's talk about this part you have in your hand right here. Tell us about that.
So this is incredibly cool. As we look at getting further into space, obviously some of the technology that's going to come into play and being able to make certain parts for repairs or replacements or whatever is 3D printing, and that's something that we use in motorsports quite a bit when developing new parts. And I'm told that there's a 3D printer up on the space station, and that though this didn't come from the space station, this was the first file that was ever sent to the station for the first actual 3D printer part built, and a replica was made down here on Earth, and it was engraved with my. I don't know if the one in the space station had my name on the file. Probably not.
We'll check that.
We'll check that. We'll just say yes, but probably not. So no, this was given to me, a little memento, obviously signed by the astronaut who printed it, and that is super cool. I was again saying earlier that I've got a decent mantle full of some cool trophies, but this one, it might be small, but it's going up there. That's one of the coolest things I've got.
I like that, going up on the mantle. So we talked a little bit downstairs. We were looking at that model, and I said, would you live there? Would you give it up and go to space?
I don't know how you couldn't. I don't know how you could turn that down. That's not an offer people get every day, and it would be tough to get. I mean, like I said, I've got one of the coolest jobs on Earth, but this one's not on Earth, so I think it's that little bit cooler. It would be an absolute dream to get to go up there.
All right, well, we'll see what we can do about that, Hinch.
You make a call.
All right.
Let me know.
I'll make a call. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.